All right, so here we are. We are going to be checking out today our session 13 together. And I have in our D2L, as you'll see, I have these videos down here. We're going to cover chapter 8 and we're going to be covering chapter 9, or at least most of them. You will notice that I have included these chapter 8 videos and chapter 9 videos. These are directly from the publisher. If you like those better than listening to my lectures, feel free to go ahead and jump in on that. And I will have a picture of what your final assignment needs to look like, because we are not going to be doing all parts of what you see this Geneva CAM. We are going to be going over borders and title blocks, and we are going to be creating some of the Geneva CAM, but we're not going to be doing the right side view of it. So I'm jumping a little ahead of myself here, but if you take a look, this is what we're going to end up with, but without this. You're not going to give me this part of the Geneva CAM, just the main view, and we are going to be making our border and our title block today. So to get started with this, the book at the beginning of chapter 8 walks you through how to make a template. You and I have already made a template. We did that a few weeks ago. So if you have a template for your regular inches, that's where we start off with ACAD, but that has all our layers and everything else put into it. That's what I'm going to be starting off with today. I'm bypassing the first 14 pages of this because that's how it shows. That's what they're using for their layers and setting everything up when it comes down to that. But what we are going to do is we're not going to work with the Geneva CAM right away. We are actually going to be starting with the template right here. So creating that template and creating it on the layout view, and you can find that starting on page 8-10. So that's 810 in your book, creating the border and the title block. And if you feel pretty confident in yourself and you don't want to listen to the lectures and you just want to go through the book, that's fine too. Like I said, I'll include a picture along with this lecture so you know what it is I'm looking for. I am looking for a border and title block on the layout view. I need it set to 0.5 and just the front face of the Geneva CAM along with the dimensions of that front face. That's what I require. So as we can see, as we're looking at creating this, we're going down to at the bottom left of your CAD program, you're going to see model, right? That's what we've been drawing on this entire semester. But next to that, you have layout 1 and layout 2. The book is going to take you all the way through layout 2. I am only looking at layout 1 though, so that's the only thing I'll be concerned with. And when you're on layout 1, you can, when you click on this, you can also right click and you can go to page setup manager, right? So when we get this little pop-up screen here that says page setup manager, then we can modify it. And that's going to bring us to what looks like our plot screen. In CAD, instead of calling it just printing, back in the day, we would plot. So a long time ago, when we would send our drawings to be printed, there was a plotter, and it would literally put a little dot at every point that would be on your drawing, right? Like a Cartesian coordinate system. And so we always refer to it as plotting instead of printing in CAD. But with how technology has changed, we now can just use a regular old laser printer. And we don't have to worry about that, but the name has still stuck with it. So this is what our plot looks like. It's also our page setup layout though. And we are going to be changing a few things on here. We want it to be on ANSI A. We want to make sure that the plot layout says layout. We are going to be making sure that we change so that we have it on landscape, and then we can close it out, and then we can draw on our template area here. Before we start drawing though, it asks us to delete out, there's a viewport in here. We will put the viewport back in later on, but for right now, we're deleting it out. And it does want us to have a few new layers. It wants a title block and a title block lettering for that. And I'm going to, it does not matter to me what color you make them other than black or white, not 255. And they should be a little heavier for the title block itself. So we can make that like a 0.8 thickness. And then your lettering, that can be a default thickness, which I will, of course, go back over. And you'll need a new layer for viewport. And then we're going to draw out our title block and border. I'm going to let you do that on your own. And I'm going to help you get your viewport set up. And then the net will cut back to the video and this part will be done. So make sure that you pause after I'm done showing you how to set things up and you draw this title block in. And then you'll fill out not all the information. You'll put, instead of Oregon Institute of Technology, you can put Oakland Community College there. And then you can put your name right next to it in that blank spot next to it, but then fill out, you don't have to fill it out, but just put in like units and date and drawing number and sheet. You can write those in for me. All right, let's jump in to getting our borders and title block in the layout. We've already got our layers in mostly, except for those 3 that we need to do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make my other layers while I'm here. And I have already pulled up my my template that I use. And I'm going to put in my title block and that layer. I'm going to make mine a dark blue, continuous, and I'm going to make my line weight a little heavier. I'm just going to go with 0.8 on that. And I'm going to create lettering, or I might call it title text. I'm going to make that pink and back to default thickness. And then the last one is going to be viewport. And I'm going to make that, let's go with green. I'll go with red today. And I'll keep that continuous and my default thickness here. Okay. So on the bottom down here, layout 1, you can see what I have is this drawing is set up with a viewport already. But if we right click on layout 1, then you can do the page setup manager. And we are just, you can rename this if you want to, but I'm just going to call it layout 1. I'll just leave it as that because that is fine for me. And we're going to hit modify. And we're going to, at the top here, it wants us to turn this into a PDF. So I'm going to pull down where it says none. And towards the bottom, you should be able to hit that DWG to PDF. And that changes my paper to ANSI full bleed, but it wants us just to do ANSI 11 by 8.5. We're going to keep this at layout. It does not say right now to change our scale. We want to make sure it's on landscape, which it is. And once we have that changed, that this is all set up, go ahead and click OK. And close. The next thing it has us doing is this is our viewport. I am just going to select it and delete it. So that is no longer in my way. And now I can begin drawing out our title block. So you can start with the rectangle tool if you wanted to. And it has some dimensions on there, which I didn't pay attention to. So I have that, and I'm just going to move it so that it's a little more centered. All right, I'll meet you back here in just a minute. Go ahead and finish off making the title block according to what you see on page 812. All right, I hope that you have completed your title block as well as I have mine. So now we can get started here. I am skipping over page 813 and 814 because that is how to make a template, and we're just going to bypass that. You already know how to make a template. We did that before. And looking at the bottom of page 815, that's where the Geneva cam is. And so it walks us through how to make the cam. I'm just going to do part of it with you. You, again, are going to do this mostly on your own. But I did want to show you how you can use the construction lines. So if you take a look at our book, starting on page 816, we really haven't used the construction line a whole lot while we've been drawing. Now, a while back, we did use construction lines on one of our geometry packets that we did. But this is how we might use it while we are drawing something out. So the first thing is we would want to draw using our construction line icon. And to find it, we have to use that little caret underneath the draw tool to find where it says construction line, right? That little symbol right there. And it wants us to choose a specific coordinate point. In this case, 5,4.5. And you'll make a vertical line, and then you'll also make a horizontal line. You just can keep drawing from that same point. And then we're also going to put in a specific angle to angle 30 so that we can get a specific line that's rotated here. So let's go ahead and start doing that. Moving on to my model space. And I am going to I do have a construction layer created. I don't think you'll see that color, so I'm going to change my color. I'll make it red today. All right, so finding our construction line tool, that is the one that looks like two little arrows. But notice I had to click on where it says draw to get to it. So I'll go to that. And then we want to specify 5,4.5 for our starting point. And you can see how it kind of spins around there. All right, so straight up and down, side to side, and then we're going to type in our to angle 30. So that we have our angled line. Once you're done with that, you can either right click or hit escape to get out of that. And now we have our construction lines set up for the next part. So we need to create the circles. And I am, let's see. I only want to get to the part where I'm going to help you with doing it has the offset, the mirror command, and the array command are the two that I would kind of like to look at. So I am not going to make my circles to the proper size. You're going to make sure that you are following the sizing that you need for this. But I'm just kind of faking this in right now, just so I can kind of show you a few things. Okay. So I have, I go on to my object layer now. I've created like my helping lines, if you will, here. And it wants us to take this line and offset it down by whatever distance. Is that where they have us starting? No, they have us starting with the little circle. So I'm going to create the little circle first. And now we're going to offset this line to go down below. And it gives you a size. I didn't put a size into mine. So I did like a little cheater method there. That's kind of like a trick. I don't know what size I made my circle. So for me to put my offset in, I just click 2 points on the screen, and that's the distance it will offset. And then there's another circle somewhere out here. And it has us drawing this line coming up. So I'm trying to just do what the book is doing, but I am going at it at a much sloppier pace. Because really all I want is this part. So the book walks you through how to get this correctly, and then I just need to mirror it over. So that takes us to on 820 using the mirror command. So before we have used the mirror command, but we've only used it like straight up and down. So with this mirror command, go ahead and select the items that you've drawn, and then you hit enter. And now I'm going to choose the end point here to the end point here. So I'm just following this point that I have on my drawing. Oh, I did that to the complete wrong side. Try again. My bad. It's supposed to be over just the center point. All right, that was easy enough. Okay, so now we have that. And it wants us, after we do this, to use the array tool. And I don't think we've used the array tool too often. So here is array. It looks like 4 squares. But if you drop down and you go down to polar array, that's going to go around a circle. So I'm going to choose all of my parts of the Geneva cam that I've made. When you're done selecting, you hit enter, and then you click on the center point, and it's going to fill it in. Now, it always defaults to 6. If we needed to change it to something different, we could, but in this case, it only needs 6. And then when you're done, you just hit close the array. Now, when you're done, let me go ahead and I'm going to turn off my hidden lines here, or my instruction lines. When you are done with this drawing, the Geneva cam, you'll finish it completely like what you see on page 823, not the side view, just the part that we were working on here. Once you have finished that, dimension it, and then we are going to be able to put it into the viewport on layout 1. So under layout 1, so if I click on layout 1 right now, I've already created my title block like you should have too. We are going to go to our pull down menu under view, and we're going to go down to viewports, and then we're going to choose new viewport. And you should get this pop-up screen. We're going to go down to single and then click OK. And then we are going to turn off our O snaps for now because it'll make things a little easier. And right inside your title block, we are going to draw. So not up against it, but like just inside. can kind of see I'm a little offset from that. And I'm going to come over here to this. So you can see as soon as I did that, that brought in my, my part here. And I think I should have had this on my viewport. That should be on my viewport layer. So that when I come in to check your screen, if I click that viewport off, I should see that red line, or mine is red, but I should see that line going around turn off. It doesn't turn the viewport off. It just turns the outline of it off, which is sometimes helpful for me. We also need to go through and change our properties on this because we want it to be to half scale. So we're going to click on our viewport. We're going to right click and we're going to go down to properties. So right click and go down to properties. And you should get this that pops up. And you're going to find where it says custom scale. And we are going to, it's under miscellaneous. We're going to type in 0.5 and hit enter. So this should look a little smaller on your screen. And then when you're done, you can exit out of that. And that's all we have to do on this one. So make sure that you have your dimensions on here. I should see a title block. I should see your viewport set to a customized scale of 0.5. Those are the things that I'm looking for. Not just, I'll come over here to the model view and I'll grade this also for making sure that it is correct. And then I will pop up that properties to make sure that on layout 1, it says 0.5 under the customization scale.